I'm just happy to be back out. We plan for people who like music. Being around people who care about music over anything else is therapy for us.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the one and only Johnny Three Tears from Hollywood Undead. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. Back on tour, post-COVID world. Kind of feels weird, getting back into it. I didn't know if it was ever going to happen, so I'm kind of adjusting, but happy to be doing so.
Welcome back. I'm so happy you're back getting to do what you love. This is, it's been a ridiculous time in the world, and it seems like things are happening again. That's a major tour you're on, with P. Roach and all the dudes. I mean, it's a big event tour for real.
Yeah, dude. We just did one with Papa Roach. That's like our favorite band to tour with. If we could do everything with them, we would, because they're just awesome. And I actually never get sick of seeing them live because they're just so good. So better company I could not ask for. We're happy to be out, and it's great in reconnecting with fans and stuff. It feels it's a little strange, to be honest. It's like I don't know, like fucking your ex-girlfriend or something. So it's a little odd, but it still feels good. So I don't know.
In the way that, like, it feels like it's wrong, but in the moment it's cool.
Yeah,
feels
no,
weird.
It's awesome. Actually, my wife might see this, so I didn't mean that. It was just hyperbole. No, like it's cool, man. It's just it really is tough getting used to, because it got to that point. At first it was going to be a month, then it was 2 months, then it was 6 months, then it was here. You start to almost wonder if we're ever going to do it again. You almost like set it on the back burner, and you go, okay, I got to live my life in a different way. I know a lot of guys in bands that aren't in bands anymore because they said, well, look, I got to move on. I got to, go do this or that. I want to do something with my life. So it certainly was a reality for some people. So, the thought crosses your mind, is this shit ever going away? And so it's a huge relief. And I think music is about as important as it gets culturally to the connection people have. And I really think that the lack of music is a big reason people are having so much trouble with each other. Music is one of those arbiters that brings people together. So I'm just happy to be back out. We plan for people who like music. Being around people who care about music over anything else is therapy for us.
Word. And I think the average fan doesn't. I know that people were disappointed by cancellations, and not just you guys, everybody, postponements and future.
Yeah.
Like, I promise it's coming. People don't really understand that a lot of these tours and festivals are booked years in advance, not just a year in advance, multiple years in advance. Well planned out. Like, we know our record is going to drop summer of 2022. The tour would have been planned in 2020 in a normal time. And,
right.
There's all kinds of expenses now. Europe is a humongous expense because of Brexit and stuff. And I'm not a politician or well versed in the law, but I just know suddenly if it costs you 45% more to go tour, you got to really weigh your options if it's worth it.
It absolutely, dude. And if you want to go on tour for 6 weeks and make nothing or even lose money, that's not a proposition most people can take, because a lot of guys, especially that we've been around for a long time, most guys I know in bands, they got kids and they got a mortgage or they got rent, all these things, and a responsibility. So it's been tough going for a lot of guys in bands. We got through it, and I'm just happy to be able to do it again. And as long as they don't shut us down for monkeypox, it looks like we're in the clear.
Watch who you bone and watch who you touch. It's just we still got to keep the hygiene going, and masks are not a bad idea, and washing your hands is always a good idea. So, like, hygiene in general, a little bit of social distance goes a long way, everybody.
Yeah. Don't be making out with people you don't know. No finger banging behind dumpsters, whatever's going on out there with you kids these days, you sick fucks.
Before you go ass to mouth, hand sanitize, everybody. I'm just saying. I just recently got over like a horrendous bout of the Rona before, like literally in the last few weeks. So from going to a show, because that's what I love to do. I love music and I love going to shows. That's my happy place. So no regrets. I was terribly sick, but like, I would not have not gone. It was an awesome time, but that's how it goes. Little club, too many people, you know what's up. Before we unpack Hotel California, which is awesome, I got to spin it a few times before we chatted, I do want to commend you guys, because always hustling, always working hard, always trying to do new, fresh, cool things. But I'm going to say that during the pandemic, era, the heavy part of it, whatever the previous pandemic part one of whatever the trilogy is going to be. You guys worked so hard. You dropped all kinds of collab joints and remixes. I love the live streaming stuff. You did the hangouts with fans. Your live stream was amazing. One of the best ones there was out of the countless ones. Certainly in the top, in my top few, it was amazing. I'll say it again. I wondered if that also kind of shaped you guys going forward, because in the lead up to this new album coming out, you guys have done again more collabos, and you finally got to do a music video together again. But it's like, it's been so hard, and you guys have worked so hard and done so much stuff. I wonder if that has carried over even more so now to this run up to the new album.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, we really wanted, we put our heads together and we were like, okay, well, we had just put out New Empire Volume 1 about 3 weeks before we got sent home from Europe, when COVID really, because it was already going on, but when the shit really hit the fan and, everybody kind of surmised, okay, this is much more serious than we had hoped. We just put that record out. We had a whole nother volume to put out. And without being able to tour, we just tried to get as creative as we possibly could to make something special happen. And the live stream was a big part of that. We had the album, and we're like, who could we work? I've always loved Tech Nine since I was a little kid. So that was one of those bucket list things. We worked with Jacoby and Spencer from Einstein. And I mean, a lot of collaboration happened out of it, just because all the guys doing music are sitting at home. So we were doing like Zoom writing sessions with Zero and these different producers. And I mean, we did whatever we had to get through, and there's no real replacement for what the real thing, but we did the best we could, and we got some good stuff out of it. So I hope it carries over. Even if it doesn't, it kept me sane for 2 years and helped me tremendously to stay creative. And it gave us a lot of material for this new record too, because who didn't go through some shit through this whole process? I'd be hard put to find anyone.
Right, except for a few introverts I know that were like in hog heaven, not having to go out, not having to socialize, not having to do the industry fake handshake and hang out thing. A few of them, like I know a couple of like introvert geniuses that were like so happy they couldn't go out and they weren't obligated to do things and then have to pretend to fake like, oh, I can't make it tonight, something came up. No, they're just like, I'm home, fuck it. But yeah, man, I totally feel that. And yeah, again, these things affect us all. And then I think you guys, again, you always collaborate with real excellent people, and yourselves are all producers. You produced your own stuff and other people too, everybody in the band. But now you like carry that over to this new record with like a dream team of production. So as you start to unpack Hotel California, obviously, and you guys were put out 2 records, you put out your own joint during this whole last couple of years too. Yep. So like, wild, what was it like? Kind of like the same old process? You guys all bring in your own material, collaborate together, collaborate with the producers?
This record, more so than any we've done, usually a couple of us will like bring in a lot of skeletons. We'll work on stuff before, but because of the circumstances when COVID, like we were able to start recording for real, we were so stoked to just be around each other and hang out that it was much more collaborative than maybe typically. Our process typically changes from record to record depending on where everybody's at, but this was us just writing together and everybody was so stoked to be recording because we didn't know when we were going to be able to, that it really was like it was a lot more fun than it typically is. I love recording, but it's more of an introverted kind of process as opposed to like, let's have fun. But everybody, we'd hung out once for that live stream in like a year and a half. So for us to get back into work and get in the studio together, it was very, it was a joyous occasion for us to be able to do it together. So it was a lot more collaborative amongst the band. And I really actually had probably more fun recording this than I have since maybe way back in the day when I was, snorting 8 balls the whole night. So I won't put it at that level, but almost natural hormone releases.
That serotonin, we all need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is gonna seem random, but to me, if Hollywood Undead was a superhero, you guys would be Daredevil, because like street level, hallway and alley, back alley fights. There's like a lot of aggression and heaviness and stuff with the band, but like lyrically, this album there's some party shit and there's some street shit, but there's also some very serious topics you guys addressed, and it's not like you haven't in the past, but really leaned in this time on a couple of things. I mean, obviously we both live in California. This place is going to hell, and the whole world is, but like literally there's a lot of things going on that I appreciate that you guys addressed on this album.
Yeah, we're ahead of the curve. We're like leading the charge, unfortunately. We actually originally, the artwork for the record was going to be like the haves and the have-nots of California, like the Chateau Marmont next door, there's like a bread line for everybody, while the the rich and the elite have everything they want, because that's really what California is becoming. Is a city. It's like a third world country. You have people with tons and tons of money, and the people who kind of serve them or work for them. And when I was growing up, man, California had a big middle class, and it was a great place to raise a family. And it's lost all that charm, and it's really sad to see. So this is kind of a love song to, in a way, to what California was, but also calling out in the same time, at least Los Angeles in particular, what it is now, and how far it's fallen from grace. That used to be the place everybody wanted to be. Now people can't wait to get the fuck out. In 15 years, it's like, what happened? So we put it under the microscope for this album, and it was something we took seriously. We have a lot of love for it. We were born and raised there. I mean, I've been going to Dodger games since I was 4, and it's sad to watch something you care about so much go to the gutter for no good reason. So we'll keep fighting the good fight for Cali.
Word. We're not going to fix that stuff today, you and I, but I see it going on everywhere. There is no more working class. It's really eroded, and it's like super, super rich, and nobody else counts, and it's rough. I'm in San Francisco after being an East Coast guy my whole life, and I wanted to always live here, and I love California, and I love being here, but it's also a struggle to see so many homeless and so many. It just seems like we could do so much better. Like what we could be would be awesome, but we can't, and I don't know why. Like it just seems like we have so much wealth and so much waste, and we don't take care of ourselves correctly, our society.
Well, yeah, that's because I don't think elites and people in power have much interest in helping people. That's the truth. If me and you could put our heads together and figure something out, I'm sure they could. So I can only deduce it down to the fact that they have no interest in helping anybody, and people really have to fend for themselves. And it's sad to see, because especially with the drugs and the situations, these people need help. That's the bottom line, and they can't help themselves because they're addicted to whatever it is. So you just throw them out to the dogs. It's like it's sad, man. But we'll save that topic for another day, because that's a big one to unwrap.
Yeah, sure, and it's not our job to. I will say that George Carlin said it best when he said, "You know why there's no war on homelessness? Because nobody can make a buck off it."
Yeah.
But anyway, the album, now to unpack the album even a little more, beside themes, is it's a like I think you guys have leaned into like the heavy rock and heavy metal more than any other time since the debut. There are some sick riffs, there's breakdowns, there's all kinds of cool inventive guitar stuff on here, and obviously look, everybody in the band can produce and write, but like it's super heavy and fun, and I think that's like keeping that fun up top. There's some dance stuff, there's some hip hop stuff, but like the guitar stuff's outstanding.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I mean, we definitely want to we go through cycles musically where there's particular things we're trying to do, and I think with this one, we had some stuff to rehash from the first album, and a lot of people ask for us to record a record like this record or that record, and I have no interest in that, and little do they know that if we did, they'd just ask why we wrote the same record twice. So we're always trying to make something new and make something different, and maybe challenge ourselves a little bit along the way. But I think there's definitely some throwbacks to our earlier days, and we were excited to do it and get some of the heavy stuff back on the record.
Word. And I think also after those standalone singles that were all a little more up tempo and beat heavy and different things, some EDM influence in there sometimes, and some some fun danceable stuff. It's good to come back and have, like, again, like I said, that street level hero, the box it out, punch it out kind of stuff. It's really a great difference.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I really, we had a lot of fun with it. We have a bunch of songs we didn't even put out that I'm really excited about too, that we'll put out later in the year. And we got some cool collabs. So we definitely got a lot out of the process. It's still kind of, obviously we haven't even put this one out yet, so I got a little ahead of myself, but I'm stoked for everybody to hear it. And I know I love it, so hopefully they do too.
Right on. Do you ever worry, obviously with so many guys, it's almost like a slip knot, there's so many guys trying to get in. Do you ever worry that there's like a lot of voices competing? You guys do a great job playing off each other and contrasting each other, but like I feel like you and Funny Man are, would probably overlap a little vocally sometimes, and I wonder if you ever, is there any writing techniques or skills you had to acquire to kind of get around that?
No, I mean, me and him have such different styles and subject matter that, typically I work my work is the more dark driven stuff. That's what I like to write. So although I'll co-write some of the lighter material, it's not my forte. So everybody, I think the important part of any band is kind of realizing the other guys in your band's strengths and their weaknesses, and being comfortable with saying, hey, this is kind of your deal, this is my deal, and everybody, that's how you get a good working relationship going. A lot of bands break up because they never find that, and everybody wants to be the guy, or everybody, there's a lot of egotism involved, and we certainly had our fair share of that at different points. But I think we all kind of recognize each other's strong suits and play off those things, and no one has a problem giving the assist for the layup as opposed to always having to score. So we're pretty collaborative in that sense, and that's one of the reasons I do my own music, because that's just me, and I can do whatever the fuck I want for my side project, and no one can say anything at all whatsoever, and I get kind of some of my artistic output that way, because being in a band is obviously much more collaborative. So we kind of, and everybody kind of does that. So I say, stuff that I don't want any input on, I save for stuff I want to do alone, and then as a band we work together, and that kind of keeps everything balanced for me personally anyway.
Nice. I do feel like the fans are very protective of you guys. So, like, I know there was like a big hubbub when you dropped your joint that people were like, oh my God, is he leaving the band? This happens like every 6 months. One of you does a feature, somebody does a production on something else. It's like, oh, we're going to lose this guy to somebody else. It's like, no, man, this is how bands stay healthy, by doing other things. I know it was like
Absolutely.
there was a period of time way back when you could never guest on someone else's album without lawyers and contracts, and now it's a lot more free, and you should be able to put out your own stuff independent of the band and have that for yourself,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we write an album, what we put out an album, let's say every 2 years, and we write throughout those periods, but I like to write music every day, and there's not enough to put out. We don't put out enough records where that would keep me busy every day. So if I'm right, I like to write all the time. I have to find a home for it, and like all those things. So there's things I certainly write. We work on for Hollywood Undead on a consistent basis. But I like writing folk songs, and I like acoustic guitar, and those things are not necessarily in the wheelhouse of Hollywood Undead. So I put them out as my own stuff, and that keeps me kind of creatively happy. And then Hollywood Undead is always my main focus. But yeah, people. I mean, I've been best friends with these guys since before I can remember, since we were in preschool. We're not just going to bail on each other or anything like that. And we still love what we do. I think we're having more fun now than at any other point in our career. So we're just getting started, but everybody's going to want to do something on the side just to keep their creative juices flowing. Some of it's going to suck, some of it isn't, but everybody's got to do it.
Fair enough, fair enough. As we wind this down, I'm always thinking about like the history of the band. It's like 20 years of this band plus almost, and 20 years of people wanting to hear everybody knows at the end of the show. If you could go back in time and give younger Johnny Three Tears some advice, get in a time machine with Elon and be like, hey, here's what here's what to look out for. What piece of advice would you give yourself?
I mean, I think I would just tell myself to relax. I was always, I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. I kind of lived by the seat of my pants, and I got, and I suffered a lot of consequences for that. The only issue is I wouldn't listen anyway. So whether it was me telling, I'd say, shut up, you old fuck. You got to take your lumps. I don't think there's anybody that could come back in time and tell anybody anything. And even if you don't take your lumps along the way, you're never really going to build your character anyway and become who you're supposed to be. So I wouldn't even do it. I would let myself suffer to get to a better place, because I think that's the only way you can actually stay in that better place. So hitting rock bottom is kind of a good foundation to build a life from. So I wouldn't even do it. But if I did, it would be, take it easy. Just relax. It's life. And no one said it was going to be simple. No one said it was going to be easy. In fact, you can look out throughout history, and we actually, compared to historical times, at any point, we have it pretty good. There's very little poverty, and we live in a great country, and just fucking chill out. Stop focusing on myself so much. That's always been a problem. I think for most people, the self-centeredness and egotism that comes along with, making your way through the world. I've found that I get far more fulfillment out of helping other people as opposed to myself. And that's another thing I don't think I'd listen to anyway. But those are the two things I'd tell myself.
Right on. Wise words from Johnny Three Tears of Hollywood Undead. Dude, thank you so much for hanging out with Ghost Cult today. We really appreciate it. And just be safe on the road. Good luck. Best of luck with this album drop. Hotel California is coming soon. Congrats on everything, bro.
Hey, thank you, man, and always a pleasure. I hope we get to do it again soon, brother. All right, cheers, guys.